Welcome to An American Homestead, podcasting live from deep within the Ozark Mountains. It is, what do I normally say? I can't remember. It's 9 p.m., it's 10 p.m. Eastern and 9 Central, and it's good to be back. Folks, if you like these podcasts and want to download them, listen later, go to your favorite browser and search for YouTube MP3 downloaders, and you'll find an entire array of all kinds of applications and web pages and software programs that will allow you to download these YouTube channels in an MP3 podcast format so that you can listen to them in your car or wherever you go. So thanks for tuning into the show. We got a lot of stuff planned for you tonight, big stack of stuff, all kinds of news items and homestead oddities that we can explore together. So stick with us for the hour. I can't believe I've never done that where I didn't have my script in front of me. That's why.
It's okay.
I was going off memory. I just didn't quite do it. So let's see. What do we do this week?
I don't know. You will always ask me that. Oh, gosh.
So
you know what? I made food. I do that every week.
She made a video on sourdough this week, and it turned out great. It's got a lot of views and a lot of shares. She makes really good sourdough. It's one of the things I love the best about her in the kitchen is making sourdough when she does it. And so we have fresh sourdough, and she made some more. What, today?
Not today. Yesterday.
Yesterday. Mm-hmm. And you made those in loaves.
Yeah, I made loaves. Mm-hmm.
So,
and I put less flour in. We made that video, but honestly, I feel like I don't think that you can ever know everything about whatever it is. I feel like for me, I'm still learning. I'm still learning about sourdough, and I'm still kind of experimenting. And I don't think that I'll ever be just set in the only way I make sourdough.
Yeah. I don't know. I just love sourdough. My favorite way to eat it is when it's toasted and then butter on it. Mm-hmm. It brings out the flavor, I think, for some reason, and it's just good stuff. So, anyway, folks, if you're just tuning in for the first time, you can go to thehomesteadnetwork.com/showtimes. Look for their showtime schedule, and you'll find us there. We are the Late Show on Saturday night for the Homestead Network, the last show, rounding it out with a bunch of other shows before us. You can check out the full schedule at thehomesteadnetwork.com and look at all the showtimes there and check out those other amazing homesteads and all of their great content that they have on their channels. So we're not the only ones out there, folks. But we are the last ones on Saturday night. Let's see, what else did we do this week? The snow, we had some snow. Everyone's talking about the snow and the cold right now. I think the last thing I saw in Drudge Report was there's an average 11 degrees temperature for the United States right now. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cold out there. And all the other channels I've listened to tonight, that was one of the topics. It's cold and snowy. And we had about 2 or 3 inches of snow on the ground the other day. And so it's still out there. It's cold. It hasn't melted yet. Melted a little bit maybe today. And so it's kind of put a damper in a lot of our projects. And let's see.
Yeah, but I think the snow, I think for those of us who are off-grid, we have a little different understanding of what harsh weather means or weather that can cause you to have to stay indoors. Because for us, we're already used to having water on hand. We're already used to not having electricity. We're already used to a number of things. So it's not, for us, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal to have the harsh weather come in because we're already ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that we had to do, and we still will have to do during the winter when it gets colder, because the temperature fluctuates.
It's drain the pipes.
Yeah, it's drain the pipes. That's the only thing. So right now, the pipe coming into our house that we have hooked up to our pitcher pump that's drained and turned off because we don't want our pipe to break. And also, right now, our drain is frozen going out of the house too.
Yeah, so
we're carrying water in and out.
we have a number of pipes that are buried throughout the homestead, number of water lines. They're all, when this kind of weather comes through, we drain the pipes. And even if we're below frost line or not, it doesn't matter. We drain the lines because it's not a big deal. We can deal with it. We can deal with not having water pressure for a few days.
We use very little water. We're used to that. So I have probably about 30 gallons in the house any given time.
Yeah. And let's see, worked on the living room this week some more. Got some more shelving up and painted. The videos will be coming out on that, showing you some of the progress.
Yeah. Yep, I've got my shelves going up, and I'm almost done painting. I've been doing so much painting. I've been in my paint clothes every single day.
So you notice when she did the sourdough video, if you were really paying attention, when she's standing up from the stove or the wood stove, there was a little white mark on her forehead.
Okay, because I made sourdough in the morning, and then after I was done with the sourdough, I got into my paint clothes and started painting, and so I painted the rest of the day. Well, I just didn't realize I had paint on my face. So
I rubbed it off after I took the shot, and I just didn't want to refilm it because we were losing daylight. And so anyway, we got that. She had paint on her face, but it's just what we do. I mean, we're working. So I had a small little celebration today. Was it today I found my holster?
No, yesterday.
Yesterday. I keep forgetting what day it is. So for the last couple of years, I have a really nice holster because most of you guys know, you watch my videos, I carry a 9mm Glock with me most days on the homestead. And today, I've been looking for one of my really nice holsters. It's a leg drop holster. It's a Serpa Blackhawk holster, and it fits on your leg, your thigh holster. And it's been missing for years, and I don't know where it was. And since we moved here, I haven't been able to find it, and I just thought I lost. And it's an expensive holster. It's like $130. Anyway, I went down to the chicken barn, the old abandoned chicken barn that we had boxes in when we first moved here, and lo and behold, I found an open box that was half empty, half full with a few various things, and inside the box was the holster. And it was the last place I knew to look because I looked everywhere else, and I found it. So. And I just was excited. I mean, this is something I've been looking for a while.
And I was excited too because he's going to stop asking me where it is. He's constantly asking me where it is, and I have no idea.
Yeah. So I'm setting Teresa Dean as a moderator because Wee Tree told me to on the thing. So I don't know if we're getting visited by goons or whatever, but there you go. Wee Tree, I got Teresa Dean with a wrench now. All right, going back to the stack of stuff. Let's see what else we do this week. The sourdough video. Oh, also smoked salt. We have a bunch of more smoked salt in the store. It's the Maplewood smoked salt. The maple smoked salt, folks, is really amazing. It's different than all the other smoked salts because that maple flavor comes out in the salt and in the smell of it. So you open up the salt and you put your nose to it and you smell it. You can smell that tinge of sweetness that comes from the maple tree. It's like no other smoked salt that we sell. Only the maple has that oddity, which is really nice. I really enjoy the smell of it. And so we have a bunch of that for sale inside of the online store at AmericanHomestead.com. And also, people are buying the seeds up like crazy for the popolo and the achicha. If you want something amazing to grow in your garden next year, try the achicha cucumbers. They grow abundantly. They put out a lot of fruit, and they're great. We have lots of videos on those on our website, so you can see what we use them for. But check those out, the achicha cucumbers. And if you like cilantro, if you like in the middle of summer in August when your tomatoes are coming in like crazy, and you want to make some amazing pico de gallo, and all of your cilantro has bolted, popolo is what you want to have in your garden because it tastes just like cilantro or very close to it, and it grows in abundance. And you never have to worry about it bolting like you do cilantro. It's very healthy for you, and it's people in South America and Mexico are very familiar with the popolo plant. So we are selling the seeds for that right now, and people are always asking. And yes, the seeds, popolo, achicha are available, and the smoked salt, maple salt, is available. We'll be doing hopefully some hickory here soon, coming up. And then also a friend of ours about a year ago, submitted to us a bunch of questions about homesteading, a whole list of amazing good questions, and I wanted to turn some of those into video. And so this next year, I'm going to be starting to put those into video format, and I started this last week with another one of them. And so we have a playlist on our YouTube channel called 101 Homesteading, or Homesteading 101, and the next video is going to be. It's entitled, "How many acres do I need for a self-sustaining homestead?" That was the question she asked in the list. And so we're going to make a video to answer that question next.
And the focus will, of course, be off-grid homesteading, because that's what we do.
Right.
So we're not saying that off-grid homesteading is the only answer. We're just answering the question from our perspective, because that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we know. So that's what we're asking. That's how we're answering it. But again, there's amazing questions that she submitted to us, and we told each other back then these would all make great videos independently. So we're going to do that coming up here, directly. I already started working on one. Hopefully, it'll be out this week. Let's see, and then we're gonna I'm still looking at getting some new internet options and these high gain antennas. I don't want to go to satellite. I've heard too many horror stories on satellite. But some of you know that our stream pops in and out from time to time, and the audio goes down, and it's just not a really good experience. So we're looking for different internet options, and the high gain antennas look like they may be a possibility. I've looked, and the nearest cell phone tower from our homestead is about anywhere from 8 to 10 miles away. So I don't know if that'll work, or if it'll be better or not. But I will look. We will try to find that. Also, we're getting really close here, like in the next week, to start putting our taps out for the maple syrup harvest. We're going to do that again this year. People enjoyed the videos we did last year for that. That was one of the reasons we purchased the evaporator on the homestead that people have seen in our videos. And we're going to start collecting maple sap, maple water again. And I'm telling you folks, if you want to have the best cup of coffee you have ever had in your entire life, you need to go find a maple tree, tap it in the wintertime, harvest the water, the sap from it, and then make your coffee with it. It's really good, right?
It is good. I'm wondering how high glycemic maple water is.
She's on this anti-sugar kick.
I don't eat sugar anymore, and I feel great.
Well, it's not much sugar. It's mostly water.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder how high it actually would be, a cup of it, just because it's not been evaporated.
I think if I remember right, and someone in the chat room can correct me, but I'm pretty sure that maple syrup or maple sap is like 1% to 2% sugar.
Okay.
It takes like 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup.
Yeah, I know. Okay. But I'm just saying, I just wonder what it is.
Okay. Anyway, that's coming up. We're going to be doing that here soon, making our maple syrup again this year. So what we're going to do this week is 10 things. I thought this would be a great list to go through with Jamie. So it's 10 things your non-homesteading friends don't understand. So that's the list we're going to go through. And if you're interested, you can go to the description of the video and hit the drop down, and you can find the links to the articles that we're going to be talking about this evening. So if you want to follow along with us, all you have to do is go ahead and look in the description, look at the links, and follow along. So the first one is 10 things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand. And so we're going to go to that link and go through the list here. It's Prairie Homestead, theprairiehomestead.com. I believe this is Jill Winger's homestead blog. Some of you guys might be familiar with her work and her blog. She's got a very popular blog. And I saw this article this week, and I thought it'd be great to go through it with Jamie.
Yeah, she's one of the, in my opinion, one of the really big homesteading sites out there.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. And it gets a lot of comments. So I thought you might enjoy this. So let's just start with number 10. We'll work our way to number 1. Number 10, if we don't answer our phone, we're not ignoring you on purpose. And for us, so I'm looking at this list, and I'm trying to compare it to us. How do these apply to us, and are they true for us?
Okay, I never answer the phone.
Okay, a lot of times our phone rings, folks, and me and Jamie look at each other, and we're like, I'm not answering it.
I don't like to answer the phone. I don't like to talk on the phone.
Well, the article says, especially during the summer, sometimes we get so absorbed in the latest project, our social life goes out the window. Not always, but sometimes, at least for me. I'm pretty horrible about meeting friends in town for lunch or play dates. It's not that I don't want to see them. It's just that my brain is usually preoccupied with my latest homesteading mission. For the non-homesteaders reading this, if you want to see more of your homesteading friends, may I suggest offering to help them put up tomatoes or pick apples or butcher chickens. They'll love the extra set of hands and companionship. It's rewarding to accomplish stuff as you catch up. Well, I take issue with that because it's been our experience, folks, just our experience that when people show up on days when you have projects and you're working and you have things you need to get done, you don't get anything done that day.
There is very few people that I would actually have back in my kitchen to help me. There's very few.
Right. Because
just because a lot of the time is spent talking, and I'm not so into that. I have a task to get done, and yes, it's fun to catch up and shoot the breeze a little bit, but you can't just stand there and ignore your task. You have to keep going.
Like if you have tomatoes, like she uses the example of tomatoes. If you have tomatoes to put up, you have to put the tomatoes up. You can't wait. I mean, they're going to rot on the vine. They're going to get eaten by bugs, whatever. You got to get that stuff in. You got to get it canned. And to wait, to have someone come help you who's not going to really help you, they just want to catch up and talk. They don't understand that work has to be done. You don't really get anything done that day.
I also think, and now I don't know if Jill Winger homeschools her children, but
she does.
Yeah, this point goes doubly for somebody who is homeschooling as well as homesteading.
You have a lot of stuff to do that day. So anyway, that's number 10. If we don't answer our phone, we're not ignoring you on purpose. Well, sometimes if you're calling our phone, we might be ignoring you on purpose.
Don't tell people that.
Hey, I'm just telling the truth.
I don't like to talk on the phone. I've never liked to talk on the phone. When I was a kid and the phone would ring, I would pray it wasn't for me.
Okay, number 9, scooping poop is better than therapy. Scooping poop is better than therapy. And I don't know if it's better than therapy for us, all right, let's just read the article. It says, for any type of manual labor, actually, I can mow the lawn really fast when I'm mad, she says. But when I'm feeling stressed or angry, I stomp down to the barn, grab my pitchfork, and go to work. The negative feelings melt away with each scoop I toss into the wheelbarrow.
You know what it is for me? It's plunging that plunger into the laundry bucket. Like that, when I've taken out some aggression on that before.
She says, side note, when you're a homesteader, poop isn't gross, it's beautiful. Poop turns into compost, which magically nurtures the soil, and your plants embrace the poop, she says. Which I agree. I mean, when I'm dealing, because every Sunday, like tomorrow morning, Tim will get up really early, go out to the chicken coop, and he will empty the chicken coop of all the chicken poop. And he will leave a wheelbarrow right in front of my house, and it'll be my job to come down, take that chicken manure, and spread it out over our pasture fields to help the grass grow during the summer and spring. Well, I mean, I see that, and all I see is amazing green grass that is going to feed my sheep and feed my new milk cow. So I look at that with a whole different eyes than most people do. But poop, I mean, scooping poop is better than therapy. I don't know if it really is therapy for us, but it definitely means more for us than it does other people.
Yeah, I just think that it's manual. She's saying it's manual labor, so
yeah.
If you have some aggression to take out, do some manual labor.
Right. So, number 8, excuse me, we actually live like a bazillion miles away from town. That's number 8. So, 10 things your homesteading friends just don't understand. We actually live like a bazillion miles away from town. We live about, from the nearest town, about 30 minutes. It's a small town of about 2,500 people. And so we live about 30 minutes. And you don't go to town every day. So it says, I always giggle when I read the headlines of listings in the local real estate magazines. Oh, quote, only 10 minutes from downtown, or quote, only 5 minutes away from Walmart. If you're trying to convince me to buy a house, that's not the way to do it, she says. So, I mean...
That sounds like a nightmare to me. I don't want to live that close to to people.
We've often said as we drive by homesteads or places, that are built next to the roadside. Because if you drive by, most people build their houses next to the road. Mm-hmm. Well, ours is not. We have this huge long driveway that you have to go up a mountain before you get to our homesteads. Mm-hmm.
But we can't see anybody and nobody can see us.
Right. And we like it that way. But we do. I mean, we can't. And she makes the point in the article, I can't order pizza or swing by the store when I'm missing an ingredient for a recipe. But, we've learned to adapt with that and, we're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's number 8 of things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand. Because, people do come out here, I think, and they realize, wow, this really is out here. And it really is a little bit of a pain to drive to town for every, thing that you want or that you're used to. Eating out is another point. So number 7, we're not trying to reenact Little House on the Prairie. So it says, I've received some criticism because some of my recipes or tutorials are purchased ingredients. For example, my homemade crock-pot soap recipe uses store-bought lye instead of lye made from wood ashes. My response is, you're missing the point. The way I see it, modern homesteading is all about mixing the best of the old with the best of the new. To be perfectly honest, I don't want to take a bath in a small tub while someone pours hot water over my head. I'd rather like my shower, thank you very much, she says. And she says, I also appreciate my dishwasher and washing machine. Can I live without these things? Yep. Do I think it's wise to be prepared in case there is ever an event that takes down the grid? Sure. But in the meantime, I'm thankful to have electricity in my homesteading efforts. The old-fashioned homesteading lifestyle, she says, is one we heavily romanticize. And while there are definitely romantic parts to it, I'm careful to recognize that our homesteading ancestors lived the way they did out of necessity, and simple survival consumed a huge part of their day.
I agree with that for the most part. Like, I just feel like everyone has a different purpose. Like, our purpose and desire has always been to live off grid. So we do. And we enjoy it that way. We really, really do enjoy living off grid. It's not a hardship for us.
Yeah.
But her last point, simple survival consumed a huge part of the day. And that is so true. I mean, even off grid, we are not Little House on the Prairie. We have the ability to purchase things that we need and desire.
I have a truck, a tractor.
And we also have solar electricity, which they didn't have.
Generators.
We have the ability to go to Goodwill. Like, this is my major point when I think about how we don't live like Little House on the Prairie. I do not have to sew all of my family's clothing. Even though I do enjoy sewing, really, we have so much clothing available at such limited prices that there is no reason to have to sew all of our own clothing unless you enjoy that, unless, that's something that you love to do. So there's 1,000,001 things, but yes, we're not trying to live like Little House on the Prairie, although Zach and I really, really do enjoy our bucket shower. We don't need running water. We really don't.
Yeah. So, number 6, we know it's easier and faster to buy blank at the store, but we still want to make it ourselves. If there's one thing to know about modern homesteaders, it's that we hardly ever choose the easy route. So buying milk is infinitely easier and cheaper than keeping a milk cow. That's one point. The second point she has is buying French bread to go with your spaghetti dinner is way easier than making bread from scratch. Or how about this? Buying neatly wrapped meat at the butcher counter is far less messy than raising or butchering meat yourself. And then she continues, this homesteading gig is empowering and fulfilling and an adventure, but easy? It's definitely not easy. But for some reason, that doesn't bother us. We're just weird like that. So out of the 10 things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand, it's easier and faster to buy.
I just think it's all about choices. You got, if that's something you want to do, you make the choice to do it. Easy, I don't know that we were trying to deliberately not do the easy thing or do the hard thing. We just care about what we're putting into our body. I make our bread from scratch because it's healthier.
I mean, yeah, we haven't bought milk at the store in years.
No.
Years. So,
no, if we can't get it raw, we don't buy it. But I think the thing to remember is that it's all about choices. It's just about what's important to you. If it's important to you to put healthy bread into your body and not consume what's in the store, then you're going to make it from scratch.
You'll
put in the effort, extra effort that requires.
Right.
If that's not important to you, then you're not going to do it.
So, number 5, the top 10 things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand. Number 5, getting the first egg from your first chicken is a thrill like no other. She says that, or when the first tomato appears on a plant, or you put your first packages of home-raised meat into the freezer, although we don't have a freezer. Growing your own food is one of the most satisfying things I've ever done, and the first time experiencing the fruits of your labor is magical. It makes all the tough times, hard work, and disappointments worth it. So to all the non-homesteaders out there, please bear with us while we gush about our eggs and tomatoes. We'll stop eventually. Maybe.
Yeah, I know. It's contagious, and it builds upon itself, and it is empowering.
I love our eggs. And I mean, I go to the store. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to take my camera to Walmart. I'm going to do a video right in the middle of Walmart shopping, and I'm going to show you that they're farm raised, cage free, non-GMO eggs. The best eggs that they have there are $4.50 a dozen.
Yeah.
And people will turn their nose up at paying more than that.
Yeah,
and they're still not as good as our farm fresh eggs.
But I still think you're missing the point of number 5.
Well,
it's about empowerment and doing something that you didn't think that you could do. And then when you did it and you succeed and you see that you could do it, you're empowered. You can do anything.
That's my point. I mean, you read these really expensive eggs at Walmart, and ours are still so much better, than the best ones you can find at Walmart. They taste so much better. The eggshells are harder, whereas the ones at the store. I mean, but you should be really, really proud of the eggs you raise, and the work that went into them.
Yeah.
With happy chickens. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly, when we're being honest, I've begun to pat myself on the back a lot of times, because I think sometimes as a perfectionist, I get down on myself and I think, oh, I should have done better at that. Or, I wasn't as good at that as I thought I should have been. And I think that sometimes as homesteaders, to step back and look and just take the time to see what you really have accomplished and pat yourself on the back for it, because you did it. Yeah. You did it. You alone. You did it.
We get really excited. I got really excited when my sorghum grew up this year. I got really excited when every year when my tomato plants come up and there's big old tomatoes on those plants. That is amazing to me, and I love seeing it. But yeah, I'm totally down with that. So number 4, we don't do what we do to make anyone else feel inferior.
No.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So it says comparison is rampant in our culture. Some people blame the prevalence of social media, but I think it's a problem as old as time. Every once in a while, I get the vibe that someone suspects I'm attempting to be a supermom with all my homesteading efforts. Well, let me just say this. I'm as far from a supermom as a person can get. Like anyone else, we homesteading folk prioritize what is important to us, just like you said a minute ago. So while you might think we are superhuman as we milk our cow or grow our own salads and make the dressing, by the way, and whip up batches of homemade mozzarella, I know this is simply where we've chosen to spend our time. So, case in point, she says, while I may have a few homesteading skills, I am horrifically awful at doing laundry. My children have boring birthday parties, and I don't sew or knit. See, no supermom here. We're just doing what makes us happy, and we aren't trying to make anyone who isn't in our lifestyle feel poorly about themselves. We'll still be your friend, and you don't even have to can your own applesauce.
My children have horrible birthday parties, too.
We don't do birthday parties.
No, we generally don't. I mean, it's not that we don't honor, their day or celebrate that they've turned another year older. It's not that
they don't go to Chuck E. Cheese, put it that way.
It's just that we don't do birthday parties. we just have dinner and cake as a family. That's all we've ever done. Yeah. Just because, again, it's all about your choices. It's never been important to me to throw a big party for my children. On the contrary, it's important to me to make a cake from scratch. Although my mom, that's her arena. She loves to bake.
We'd rather feed them healthy foods than give them, lavish birthday parties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and live where they can run around and have fun every day.
And not have to worry about, living in the city with a bunch of crazy people.
But that's, the whole comparison thing, she's totally on to something there, because I think that I run into that all the time. And
the first part where it says we don't do what we do to make anyone feel inferior.
The only reason I do what I do is because I have the desire and the drive to do it. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. On the contrary, I think I'm trying to prove something to myself that I can do it. And until we started this off-grid homesteading life, I had no idea that I had it in me to get up and keep going every day, but I found that I do, and I've proven that to myself. I haven't proven it to anybody else.
So that was number 4. It says we don't do what we do to make anyone else feel inferior. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 of the top 10 things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand is food you grow yourself really does taste better. I mean, we said that a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, the food we bring out of our garden, there's so much more flavor there. The tomatoes are, I mean, the first tomatoes of the season, Jamie just loves because they are so much better than any of the store-bought stuff you're going to be able to buy. Jill says, no doubt about it, a vegetable picked 30 steps from your front door will always have better flavor than a veggie that's been shipped halfway around the country. Once you have the experience of looking down at your plate and knowing that where each and every component came from, you'll be hooked. It's the best seasoning there is.
Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, like it goes back to the point that she made before. You're not going to be able to produce all of your own food. We're not going to be able to produce olive oil in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But
most of them.
Yeah, but
you can do a lot.
Yeah.
Not everything.
Not everything.
And even the old pioneers couldn't do that. So we're going to be coming out with a video on that soon. Number 2 of top 10 things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand. Number 2 is we really truly like having a lot of projects going at once. So she has in quotes, "Oh honey, you're so busy," and they say it with a look of pity in their eyes. She says, I've really started to dislike the term busy because I think it carries such a negative connotation, and people have drastically different definitions of what busy really is. I prefer my schedule to be pleasantly full, and I like to keep it that way on purpose. I'm not a victim of my homesteading schedule. And she says, in parentheses, if you're wondering how I get most things done, here are my best homestead time management tips with a link to those. She says, those days where I milk the cow, then make bread, then write a blog post, then help my hubby with a fencing project, then jump on a quick phone call, then experiment with a new do-it-yourself recipe, then do a bit of garden work, then linger outside at dusk while doing evening chores. Gosh, I don't even do all that in a day. Then check email before rolling into bed. Those are my favorite days. I love every bit of them, she says. If I ever get to the point where I feel the need to stroll to the mall to fill my hours, please put me out of my misery.
But each one of those things would be completely doable in a day, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what all at once. I mean, how much... When I do a fencing project, it usually takes quite a bit of time.
She's probably not spending as much time on a blog post as I would. Maybe she's spending an hour to write the blog post. I don't know. I'm too perfectionistic when I write.
A bit of garden work. I mean, a bit of garden work for me takes me, 3-4 hours.
Well, maybe she's not. I don't know. All I'm saying is doing all those things in a day wouldn't be out of the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, it's still the whole point is we really truly like having a lot of projects at once. So people like... You've talked about this before. People say, oh, I'm so busy, I can't do what you do. And again, it's about prioritizing.
Yeah.
Where's your priorities?
It is, and it's how do you... Because I hate being bored. I have a million projects going on right now, too, but I hate being bored. So normally I don't sit down during the day. I just move to the next thing.
That was number 2. So the number 1, top 10 things your non-homesteading friends just don't understand. It says, we're rather proud of the dirt under our fingernails. And I guess that can be taken a couple different ways. So it says, the short, chipped, grimy nails adorning my battered, prematurely wrinkled hands would be a laughingstock in some circles of women. But you know what, she says? I love my hands. These hands can quickly squeeze gallons of milk from an udder, nurture growing vegetables, convince a stubborn heifer to load in a trailer, build a fence, hold the reins of my favorite horse, and knead the best bread you've ever put in your mouth. So I'm so used to my plain, grubby fingernails whenever I try to paint them, the flashes of color startle me all day long because I'm not used to it. And then I end up nervously picking all the polish off. So yeah, it's safe to say this girl is perfectly happy without a manicure.
I haven't had a manicure in decades. But that's just me. I don't really enjoy doing my nails. But you know what makes me laugh about this one, though, is she has a dishwasher. You know what I'm trying to say?
Huh.
Well, those of you who are in the chat who wash dishes every day, you know that you don't go day to day with dirt under your fingernails, because if you're hand washing dishes, your fingernails get clean.
Yeah, right. So she has a dishwasher. That's right. Okay. Well, I don't think she's going to give up the dishwasher.
I don't think so. But that's okay. If that's her thing, that's okay. I don't mind washing dishes. I never really have.
If you're interested in more amazing articles like this, you can check out theprairiehomestead.com. They are a very popular homesteading blog. Most of you probably are already aware of them. Check them out at theprairiehomesteadblog.com. They have a lot of other good articles too. So anyway, back to the stack of stuff. I have a really good article. I don't know if I want to spend too much time on it because I have some other things I want to get to before time runs out and we can spend some time in the chat room. And this one is the 55-gallon drum rocket stove. And so I have a link there. And I thought it was a really good do-it-yourself video on how to build a 55-gallon drum rocket stove heater from start to finish, giving you video tutorials on how to do it. And it looked like a pretty efficient one, too. I have built these in the past. Also, I think Go for Green Living, if he's in the chat room, he has experience in doing this as well. If you build it right, it works amazingly well. My experience wasn't so good because I put it in a greenhouse and it just couldn't hold the heat. But rocket stoves, if you build it right, work amazingly well and can be a great benefit to a house and a cheap, easy way to heat the house as well. So anyway, I thought some of you guys might enjoy that link. It's in the description below. A 55-gallon drum rocket stove. And if you're listening to this on audio, you can go to the video on YouTube and go to the description and find that link if you're interested. The one I want to get to is this, Stump Houses. It says Stump Houses used to be a thing. I got to go to my little settings here and put in this picture because I want people to see. A lot of people don't realize or know that people actually used to live in these stumps, these tree stumps. I mean, tree stumps that were so huge that people could build a house in them. And I had an old timer the guy who has been helping me learn the sawmill that we've purchased and are using on our homestead. He said, Zach, there were days when he started out sawmilling. He's in his 80s now. When he was a teenager, that there were still trees in the Ozarks when he was a teenager that you could drive a car through. And that was amazing to me because there are no trees. I mean, the biggest trees I think I have on my homestead now are a couple hundred years old, and they're huge, but they're not as huge as ones you can drive a car through. But he says that there were trees that actually existed back then that you could drive a car through, and they were starting to be long gone by the time he was a teenager. And so, but there were still some around. Anyway, there's a website, and I included it in the description below, of all these stories, amazing stories of people who used to, when they got done clearing these trees, they would build houses out of these trees. And just really, really cool. Let me see if I can find some of these so I can show Jamie. I don't know if I have it here. Oh, yeah, here it is right here. So it's vintagenews.com. The link's in the description. And they have like different, basically photos of the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s, of people living in these tree stumps. There's one that's made of cedar. I think cedar would be the best because it would last the longest. But there was one of a cedar house, looked pretty decent. And there's one here. It's a 3-room stump house in Mount Pleasant. I don't know where Mount Pleasant that was or what. There's a lot of places named Mount Pleasant. But they said these stumps were as tall, some as high as 10 feet, and the settlers had to adapt to a living that accommodated these seemingly undesirable woods. So basically what they would do is they'd come through, they would harvest all these trees, and the people who owned the land didn't know what to do with these stumps. They were too big to pull out, and they would, some of them would be turned into houses for families who worked in land in the area, around that, or different pioneers. It just depended. But, what the situation was. But the settlers would live in these things. And so you have all kinds of these pictures of these people living in these tree stumps. And so we see all the things on Facebook of the tiny houses and different living options that people can do, today. And I just thought this was interesting, that people might enjoy seeing, these photos. Could you live in a tree stump?
That's kind of cool. But all the work of hollowing it out.
Well, they did, yeah. It would take a lot of time to hollow it out, but they would go through that effort. There's a picture here about middle of the page. It says it's a stump residence. People would hollow out the stump of a cedar tree and make it their home until they could build a proper house. So it wasn't really a house that was permanent, but a lot of times these settlers would come and the stumps that were left over from the loggers, they would build a temporary house in the stumps until they could build a better house.
We just don't see trees this big anymore.
No,
are these aren't redwood trees. These are trees throughout the United States that actually used to get that big in diameter.
Well, they had them here in the Ozarks for a while.
And we just don't allow trees to grow this big anymore?
No, I mean they don't get that big anymore. I mean, today we harvest them when they're 50 years old. Some of them, so they don't stick around as.
So how long would you say these trees have been growing for?
Beginning of the flood. If you're a Bible believing Christian, I mean you're going back to the time of the flood.
Yeah,
that's when these trees got started. I mean they're that old. Some of these things, so. But
because no one had ever cleared the land
that's why
previously.
You got the redwoods out there on the West Coast today, and the only thing stopping people from cutting those things down is the federal government. Otherwise, they'd be long gone too. But people don't realize that these trees used to be everywhere, even here in the Ozarks. Like I said, this guy who's helped me with the sawmill, I mean, he's been working sawmills since his whole life, and as a teenager, he saw some of these trees that were still around at the time. Pretty amazing. But anyway, check out that website. It's thevintagenews.com, and it says Stump Houses were a thing at one point in time. Moving on, I got some other things I want to talk about. Who was talking earlier in this evening about killing squirrels? Oh, was it Wayne? Wayne's homestead was talking about how he hasn't been able to kill any squirrels this year. And we don't shoot squirrels to eat here where we live, but I have in the past needed ways to kill squirrels to protect my tomatoes. So when we lived in St. Louis, I had a small garden in the backyard, and I had a baby tomato plant. And that baby tomato plant was coming under attack by squirrels. And they were just destroying and ripping these tomatoes right before they got ripe off the plant. And so I declared war on the squirrels. Well, I discovered a way to kill these squirrels. It ended up, I didn't know at the time, but it was illegal in the state of Missouri to do this. And a friend of mine once told me, he said, Zach, the reason it's illegal to kill squirrels like that is because it works. And I'm not kidding you, it did. I killed 40 squirrels with this method in a week. 40 squirrels in a week.
Yeah, I remember.
She was there. We were married. So, I mean, I was in the backyard, and I'm not going to spill the beans on how I did it tonight. I'm going to do a video on it this week. So,
I don't even know if I remember how you did it.
Because it's legal where I live now. Where I live now, I don't live in St. Louis anymore. I don't live in Missouri, and it's legal where I live now. Because I talked to a game warden about it locally, and he said he's never heard of it. Well, if he's never heard of it, then it ain't illegal here. But in Missouri,
I don't remember.
It was on the law books. You are not allowed to do this in Missouri, and because the reason you're not allowed to do this in Missouri, the guy told me because it works. And anyway, it's amazing. It's actually in the law book. So I'm going to show you an amazing way to kill a bazillion squirrels very quickly in an upcoming video. And then someone send it to Wayne's homestead. Maybe he can use it to get some squirrels if he wants to. One of the other things I want to talk about real quick before we get to the chat room is Nixall. Has anybody out there in Chatland used Nixall before? I first heard about this from a friend of mine, Nancy, in town, where she uses this as a midwife, as a disinfectant, and to treat bacterial and viral infections and things like that. Anyone use Nixall for either themselves, their households, or their pets or livestock? I have been told that you can drink this stuff. It's safe as water. It's very good.
Chat room.
Well, I'm going to go. There we go. So, has anyone heard of Nixall? Nixall, that's what I'm asking. I've been told that you can drink the stuff, it's safe as water, and that it'll help cure any disease, anything with bacteria or viruses. They don't say this stuff. They don't make these claims on their website for Nixall, but it's because the FDA would, hog time and carry them off into the night, and they'd never see them again. But that's what their people are saying, and it's made with a titanium process. and it's just as safe as water. And I'm just interested if anybody out there is used Nixall and what your if you use it for yourselves or your livestock. It says your wife is yawning.
How does she know I'm yawning?
Because they hear you. You yawned right by the microphone.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
All right. One other thing. I'll get to that next week. Let's go to the chat room. Hey, guys, we'll open up the chat room for any questions. If you have any questions, you can put them in all caps, and we'll get to them. And is there somebody else, WeTree, that I need to make as a moderator? I saw something else on there, and I've been talking, and I haven't been paying attention to the chat room.
I thought it was Suburban Homestead. That was a while back he said that. Or she said that. Sorry, I don't know.
It's spelled Nixall, Nixall. 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 And it's made by a company that is founded in Nixall, Missouri. That's why they call it Nixall. I don't know if WeTree's going to... I'm sure WeTree will come back on here and tell me who I need to make as a moderator. But if you haven't... how is your son doing? Is that for us?
Oh, I think he's probably talking about Caleb's burn when he burned his arm. It's fine. It's healed up just fine.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's a little scab now, but he's
told
fine.
Him, suck it up, boy. Let's see. In other news, before we go ahead and while we're waiting for any questions to come through, keep track of any questions that come through. There's an article on offthegridnews.com, and Off the Grid News is one of these news websites that just get your blood boiling and gets you angry. And they have an article, and it's in the description below, of a farm who has camels, and they're selling Camels Milk, and the FDA has come and warned them that if they don't stop, they're going to get raided. Basically, they're going to get arrested. It's a felony now in this country to sell Camels Milk. I don't know where on the law books that is, but that's what the FDA says. The link is in the description below. It's over at offthegridnews.com. Shane Winter says, what is the first thing you would do on a piece of land that you want to homestead on? Make sure it has water, Shane. That's the number one thing you do. Make sure it has water, it's easily accessible, and that you can harness it. Water. Top thing you can do on a homestead. It says, Jamie, have you heard of the Mason Top Mason Jar Fermentation Kit?
I think I have. If it is what I think it is, I've heard of it. I think it's just something that allows the oxygen to come out as you're fermenting. I think that's what it is.
Okay, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Is it like for making cabbage and stuff?
Yeah, and different fermented vegetables. I think that just making sauerkraut the way that I do in a mason jar is fine, but if you're going to do more fermenting, yeah, that would be something to look into. But I'm kind of old-fashioned, so if I was to make a lot more sauerkraut, on my wish list is one of those crocks. I would love to have a sauerkraut crock. Plus, they're just so beautiful.
Yeah. Pamela wants to know if we're going to have more children.
Well, it's kind of out of our control.
We're not trying to have children. We just, we've got 2, and that's okay. And if we have more, great.
Zach just turned 40. I'm turning 40 this year. I think that at some point that kind of stuff starts to slow down, and we've had difficulty getting the children we have. I've had some miscarriages, so who knows? If we have more, it's in the Heavenly Father's hands.
So we get that question a lot.
We do.
Why?
I don't know. I think that maybe homesteaders are supposed to have big families.
I would like to have 2 more boys, a daughter or 2.
But also, I think our children are fairly young-ish. I mean, they are getting older, but they're still young-ish. So,
yeah,
and maybe, I don't know, maybe we look younger than we are.
Yeah, I just turned 40 this year, so I'm no spring chicken anymore.
A lot of people are done having kids by the time they turn 40. I know.
Hey, if you're in Hollywood, you're just getting started. There was a question up here about where was it at? Oh yeah. So Gina says, just harvested one of 4 Jerusalem artichoke plants. Do I need to replant the tubers I harvested? It was the only one that grew. Gina, no, you're never going to have to plant them again. It's now there. And it may take a couple of years before they really start to come out, but once it's in the ground and once you've harvested, there will be more that come, I guarantee you. So you don't have to do anything. You can eat the tubers that you harvested if you want to, if they haven't started to grow soft already. And if you want to throw them back in the ground, fine, throw them back in the ground. But trust me, they will come back from here on out till the end of time and until a nuclear warhead lands on that area of land. They're going to grow, I guarantee you. Did you say Zach just turned 30? No, 40. I just turned 40. Turned 40. I asked the question because of how you live. It would be home birth or hospital. Would it be home birth or hospital?
It would be a home birth, but I say that with a mild amount of trepidation because I've never experienced a normal birth. Both of mine were C-section.
So if we did, we've already picked out. We have our finger on the pulse of the midwife community here in our area, and so we have a number of good options we could use.
Yeah, and I'll just say that I'm not going to go into a hospital again. They screwed me over twice, and I'm not doing that again.
If I missed your question, folks, keep posting. I'm going to write that down.
How much land is your homestead? Our homestead is 56 acres.
Yeah.
The thing about land, though, is that you can have a lot of land, and if it's completely wooded, not most of it is usable, at least in terms of gardening and livestock. So it just depends what your land looks like in terms of how many acres you would need.
What kind of tractor do you have and pros and cons of it? We have a Massey Ferguson. It's awesome. It starts every single time. I'm telling you, that'd be a good video this week. And so I have not started this tractor in probably, 3 or 4 months. If I go out there, I guarantee you that tractor right now will start up. No problem. First time. It's a great tractor. I have a Massey Ferguson. And I understand not all Massey Fergusons are like that, or not all tractors are like that. We have a really good one. You just need to get a tractor and learn its quirks and deal with it. My tractor has quirks. I've learned to deal with them. But make sure if you're going to get a tractor, my only thing is get as high a horsepower as you can possibly afford. I would at least get a 50 horsepower and make sure you get a diesel. That's all. A Detroit diesel. That's what I would get. What else? What else am I missing? What's the other questions? I wanted to live off good homestead for a long time, but I've been worried about laws preventing me. Any advice? Yeah, Double D, move to where there are no laws. There's a few places left in the country where there's little to no regulation. We live in one of them. If you don't mind the cold, you could go somewhere like Alaska, and there's some really off-grid places up there where there's very little regulation. People think that Texas has very little regulation. That's just crazy. Texas has there's a ton of regulation. It says Deep South Homestead, have Zach remove your wrench. Do I need to move the wrench off Deep South Homestead? I didn't think they mind being moderators. It doesn't allow me to.
I don't know how you're supposed to.
It doesn't allow me to remove their wrench.
I don't really understand. It seems like we're adding more moderators this week.
I don't know. Are we having lots of problems? I'm not sure.
We haven't been watching the chat much, so we don't know if there's issues.
I tried to look at the wrench off Deep South Homestead. It won't let me take it off. So I don't know. Deep South Homestead might be permanent wrench. I don't know. It won't let me take it off. I can either block them. I can put Deep South in timeout. I don't know if I want to put Deep South in timeout. Anyway, if you're listening to the audio version of this and wondering what the heck is going on, it's because we're talking to the people in the chat room. So, are you concerned with Nibiru? No, Becky, I'm not concerned with Nibiru. Let's see. Diesel oil lasts longer, the bee lady says. No, diesel engines last longer. Folks were asking, what do you do with frozen eggs earlier? What do we do with do we have frozen eggs?
I don't think so. Listen, you guys, my dad takes care of the chickens.
It's like 15
my
degrees.
dad is conscientious, organized. Yeah, but
It's 15 degrees out there right now.
they don't really normally lay them at night.
I know, but they're still laying them. But I don't think
But he still checks for eggs throughout the day.
Yeah, many times throughout the day.
He never leaves them long enough to be able to freeze.
He asked about black walnuts. Have you found an easy way to haul the outside? No. There's YouTube videos of people different ways that they have. If you have black walnuts where you live, what's easy about black walnuts is when they're green, you can use those for tinctures. They make a great tincture. They're very effective at health issues. So you can look up that. There's plenty of YouTube videos out on that as well. So check it out. But no, we don't haul the black walnuts. I have too many other things I need to do with my day to spend time trying to get all the nuts out. Taking away from content creators. Okay, I understand what you're doing, Rain. So that's cool. I just don't know how to get the wrench away from Deep South Homestead.
Have you ever caught your own wild yeast for sourdough? You could add it to your store. American Homestead sourdough starter. Yeah, I don't really understand. I'll just be really honest. Like, I don't really understand why you would have to purchase a sourdough starter. It's so easy to make it yourself. It's just flour and water. I'm not sure why the necessity of buying a starter.
Jessica Downing says, do you guys think you'll ever keep bees? Yes, at some time we will. I really want to get my own beehives. We have beehives right now for sale in our web store, and we are going to be doing some bees at some point. I'd like to have at least 1 or 2 hives going on our homestead. If you want to start hives, consider buying the hives from us at our web store. They're really good hives. They look good to me. They're made in the Pacific Northwest with a guy who grades, that kind of lumber and really good lumber. He puts them together really well. So highly recommend them. And I think with the shipping included, they're a really good price. When you think about the shipping is included and all that comes with them. It says in your control panel, Zach, in your control panel. Where's my control panel? My control says add, remove moderators. Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm removing Deep South. Who else do I need to remove? I guess Living on a Dime. I'm removing all the content creators. Is that what I'm doing? Okay. Anyway, we got about 2 minutes left. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else?
Yeah, it takes like a week I would say a week to get a starter going. And as it progresses, your starter, it gets better. And so you're going to get a lighter loaf, I think, as it gets better. But I say just give it a try. And if you fail at it, then, figure something out. But if you watched my video, those are my 3 things that I really believe: temperature, flour, and the quality of water. I know that, I don't read comments of our videos, but Zach said there's a big argument going on about water and if you should use tap water or not. And I really think that to make the best quality of bread that you can, why not use filtered water? So I think it's a good idea just to be filtering your water anyway.
Right. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in this week. That's going to be it for the week, for tonight. Again, if you're interested in downloading these podcasts, you can go to your favorite browser and search for YouTube MP3 Downloader, and you'll find all kinds of applications and programs to download these videos into an MP3 and listen to them in your car or on your way to work or anywhere, audio will take you. So check that out if you're interested in that. And we will be back next week with another giveaway like we did a couple weeks ago. So we'll be giving away another t-shirt next week. So make sure you come back and join us again next week, Saturday night, The Late Late Show on the Homestead Network, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, back here at an American Homestead. All right, guys, have a good week.